Next, we have March 2nd, 2017. Wine of Zamorak spawn at level 35 Wilderness Chaos Altar. Notably increased deep wilderness activity. Supposedly.
Yeah, I don't even remember this update at all.
No.
So I can remember this because it's it's popular in pay to play to like use that wine and just pick it up to die at the Chaos Altar because you'd like bring an inventory and you just die.
Oh yeah, like
Um,
suicide or something.
yeah, but as far as it being like useful for free to play, like I'm never gonna go out there because I don't need Wines of Zamorak for anything, and I'm not gonna try to make GP in free to play, right? So it's just not good, but not the worst thing in the world. But I'm sure that bots were still doing it, but it also puts them in the wilderness, so it kind of countered what was being heavily botted in free to play. So I'm gonna give it a D.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give it a D also. It's just like not very interesting and really only appeals to noobs and bots.
I will give it a C because I'm pretty indifferent. And yeah, I don't really have an opinion, so. Yeah. Alright, next we have March 9th, 2017. Energy potions released to free to play. Made through Apothecary with 2 limports and 1 chocolate dust.
The old school heads are going to hate me for this, but I'm putting this in S. I don't care. I don't need to run out of run energy and juggle my run energy. No thanks. I don't like the idea of running out of run energy while I smith. I don't like running out of run energy while I'm fire making. I think it's dumb, and it shouldn't really be that way. I think you should have enough energy to be able to make lines of fires. It's kind of silly that you can't unless you're doing like a walk method. And then also just the amount of time that you'd be spent walking to the anvil. It's just not needed, and I don't think it's a terrible update, but I'm sure other people will have different opinions to that.
Yeah, this one's an F tier for me. I think it just really changes the feel of free to play, and I kind of like the run energy restriction that exists in free to play. I think fortunately for me, it's like it basically has no impact on free to play Iron Man because it's not worth the time and effort to make them. Um, but yeah, they just feel like a pay to play item. I don't think they should be free to play.
Absolutely. I think all the things Freck said is just a skill issue. If you can't figure out how to get places without having to run there.
It's just boring.
I think you can fire make without running. You can runecraft without running. Walking is the default speed in RuneScape. Running is just an additional perk that recharges over time.
Yeah,
So,
running's OP, double speed. It's
exactly.
crazy.
That's absurd. You're not going Freck. You're not going around running in real life all the time, are you? I don't think so.
100%.
Yeah, I think he's lying.
I need to get to places faster.
I think pay to players have it way too easy with run energy, which is part of the problem.
Yeah.
On release of old school, all you had was energy pots.
Yep.
Those are like
I don't know.
expensive, and now it's just like run is basically free.
Yep.
I can see the point, but I just also think that like a lot of intensive killing methods would just be dumbed down with like this slow-paced walking scenario to them. Like I couldn't imagine doing rune crafting and walking your ass to the fucking altar.
That's
Like
what I did.
it's just like it's slow and boring. It's not engaging content to me.
You could skill hop and
So
just bank while you're like
Yep.
bank skill while your run energy is
yeah,
restored.
absolutely, but I don't know. Like that's very
Add
Iron Man of you to say.
some nuance to the method.
Yeah.
Let me process this material in my bank in between my rune crafting trips. Like I just don't want to do that. I wanna just feel engaged in the skill that I'm training at the time. So yeah, energy
Alrighty.
pots are good.
No, they're not. May
Yep.
18th, 2017. Imbued Skull Scepter. This, and by the way, Imbued Skull Scepter meaning the previous way that the Skull Scepter would degrade can now be replaced by talking to the guy at the bottom of Stronghold Security. Not the Skull Scepter as we know it today. Just that single update. Scepter will not break at 0 charges. The Scepter piece will recharge it.
Regardless of this not being fragments, still S tier.
Okay.
I give this like a B tier, I would say. It is nice to see the scepter. Like before this update, the scepter was truly garbage. Like it was just so unusable. Like it took a while to get it. You had didn't have like 3 charges and then
Something like
just
that.
destroyed itself. That's just
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
So
So you had to go get it all over again after those. So like if you accidentally used your third charge on it, it was gone. So you had to
yeah,
ensure to charge it with another scepter piece when it was at 1 or you were screwed.
yeah. I wonder what their original intention with the skull scepter was. Funny item. But yeah, this made it like sort of more usable, but you still have to collect the pieces which are not stackable, and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, it was out of the question for like UIMs, obviously.
And also not tradable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. I would put it. I'm gonna put it A tier. It's not the way it is today. However, that was definitely nice. That it wouldn't just break. And like also when you died, it would also just destroy. So I lost my skull scepter so many times at like spiders when I was killing those. So that was nice to have it actually be untradeable. Or I think they might have also updated it so you don't lose it on death on that update. Yeah, I feel like it was around that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
they did.
that was a good update. All right. May 25th, 2017. The world map has been added in game.
Can I add one piece to that skull scepter scenario still?
Go for it.
Just for people that are listening. If you get rid of your authenticator, your scepter goes back to the old way it used to be. So if you use all of your scepter charges while you do not have an authenticator on, it will be gone. So don't use it without an authenticator on. Just a little bit of a tip for people out there. But yeah, so let's move on to the world map.
World map. I mean, I do use it, but I just have like a PNG on my desktop that I would double click whenever I need to look at the map. I kind of miss seeing like the noobs looking at the little map thingy, like the whatever it is that you buy from the Lumber's General Store. I think it's funny.
Newcomers
yeah,
map?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I give this one like a C.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember Ash was working on this update, and like overall it's needed for those new players. Like they shouldn't have to go to an external website or like a Jagex official website to bring up the world map. I think that it's just a good update. I'll give it a B.
All right. I like it. It's pretty useful. I use it often on other accounts typically, or if I just feel like browsing the world map. I did bring up Freck and I talked about some of these before this recording, and I wanted to mention how the old client back in the day when it's just on your browser, you had to like click on the world map on this like bar above your client and it would like take you to another website so you could look at the world map. That was the OG way of looking at the world map.
Yeah,
But,
before browser tabs,
yeah.
it was world map or the game.
Yep.
Yep.
I like this update. I'll probably put it in the B tier, I would say. Also. All right. Next, June 22nd, 2017. The Mining Guild expansion. 4 Iron Rocks and Ore Shop added to the Mining Guild. New free-to-play Iron Man / hardcore smithing EHP.
No way this changed free-to-play Iron Man EHP, did it?
Maybe at the time.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good for bankers.
Oh,
Just mining
yeah.
bank instead of...
This is before overseas and stuff, isn't it?
Yep.
So it still would have been impactful at this point. Okay, interesting. I'm happy that they have an Iron Rock layout that's not just in the wilderness, like the same 4 Iron Rock layout, because that's the only other place that we have that layout currently. So, it's nice that it's in the game, but like at this current point, I would have never used it because the meta was to 3-tick in the wilderness. So, but overall, when I look at it now, it is quite huge. So I would give it a A.
Hey.
A. Canadian, eh?
Your Canadian is showing.
Ew.
This one also kind of conflicted on. I think I'd give it like a C. I'm doing a lot of C's here, but it's nice to see the mining guild actually being useful. Because beforehand it just wasn't for anything really other than botting, I guess. But it doesn't feel old school. It feels weird when something that's been in the game for so long and exactly the same just suddenly is different.
Yeah, I when I was talking to Freck about this before, I was a little bit critical, but I think I would put it, maybe I'll put it in the D tier this time. I think I might have said like F tier before, just because I like the wildy spot, and it was nice having that as the meta spot. But I also enjoy when I like having a variety of places that you could do the same thing, so I don't mind it actually.
Keeping anybody else going for 200 mil mining. I see.
All right. Next we have July 20th, 2017. Castle Wars released to free to play. Zamorak robes are now F2P drops from Monks of Zamorak. I guess those are 2 different things, so we'll do that way.
Castle Wars, I'd give it a solid A tier because I guess it did end up having a pretty huge impact on the free-to-play meta, but at the time, people didn't really realize. It was nice to see the iconic minigame given a little bit of life again, even though it's still kind of dead in free-to-play. And being able to get some of the Castle Wars equipment was kind of a nice, like, small update to free-to-play. Didn't really change anything, but just added a little bit more variety. But as we know now, it ended up increasing combat rates by like 50%. So that's kind of insane. I think they went a little overboard with the buffs you can get in there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this an A as well. I really do like Castle Wars for training. I think it's really interesting, but I also think it would be really cool if the game mode was actually played, like as its intended feature. But at the same point, that would just make it a lot harder for me to train. So, might might be a little selfish here and just say that I like how it is right now. I think that um it's warranted to give twice the amount of XP as flesh crawlers. You're actually doing something here.
Yeah, I agree with
Um
that.
and flesh crawlers is just okay, clicked my screen every 10 minutes, cool. Right? So I don't feel that it's really that overpowered, but it is a nice update. I think it's cool, solid A update for sure.
I like the combat method of Castle Wars, but I think that's the only thing I like about it, honestly. It's more of a iconic pay-to-play minigame, in my opinion, so I don't think it really fits in free-to-play. I don't like the fact that I can get Castle Wars stuff. It's just always been like that pay-to-play minigame for me. So, I don't know. Again, this is like, it's like dead content and pay-to-play. They sometimes decide to give it to free-to-play, and I hate that so much. So,
Yeah, it's kind of true.
I'm putting it at E tier. Be the first one to put it in E tier. All
I
right.
guess we can talk about the Zami robes then.
Oh, right. Good point. Thank you.
Mm.
I'm gonna put this in F. The reason for this is we do not need mage accuracy in free to play. We don't train using combat spells. Also, just every peer looks like they're members now if they wear this fucking item. So, yeah, F.
Yeah, F for me too. It's just the red skirt with the blue top is just so fucking ugly. I'm so tired of seeing it. I miss the days when people just wore the blue skirt because it matched.
Yep.
And +2 magic just doesn't do anything.
Yep.
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 I am also putting it in the F tier. Again, another pay-to-play iconic item that peers wear all the time, and now it's free-to-play. I hate seeing it. It's super ugly. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, inconsistent updates as usual. Yeah, pretty bad update. Okay, moving on. October 19th, 2017. Make all interface improvements for smithing, cooking, and crafting. These are interesting words, improvements. And yeah, that's good.
I'll go. Sure. I'm giving this an F minus. My reasoning for this is, although this will be controversial to everybody listening, this ruined the kind of interactivity of using AHK for dropdowns or Windows mouse keys for dropdowns. I feel like at this time, like, training your skills with AHK with dropdowns was way more skill involved than just holding spacebar or clicking a little icon in your make all, and you didn't even have to do a dropdown. It took away a lot of the like actual talent and skill from skilling. So yeah, terrible update.
This one's an E for me. I don't like any interface changes. All the original interfaces all worked, and I kind of like the old school feel of them. Anything that is different just feels not old school.
Agreed. Yeah, I believe around this time is when they started, or when they banned the use of AHK entirely. I think I'm right on that. But yeah, after that point, they started doing things like shift drop. I'm sure that might be in here. I'm not positive, but and all these other quote unquote QOL changes that basically are just adjusting for the fact you can't use AHK anymore, which I guess you can still use Windows mouse keys. It's just less convenient. But again, it's an interface change from what it used to look like, the very iconic like crafting window or whatever it is interface you've made pop up it's completely gone now. Like that really old school feeling interface. And I agree with Freck. It is much more difficult to use AHK than it is to just hold a button and do things. I really dislike that direction the game has gone in, and I think this is one step from this anti-AHK propaganda that has been started at this point. So I am putting this in F-. Terrible update. I think also the interface is I'm not AutumnElegy. I think this interface is also super ugly, and I hate that they just are making everything like a boxy thing now, and everything's just in boxes, and you just click on the box, and that's all you do. That's how the game is.
I think this also set a really strong precedent for things to come in the future, like things like updates to Runelite, where it's just like, yeah, just decide to choose what you want to do with your click.
Yep, just hold spacebar. It's fine.
And yeah, it was just it was a bad start. Like, yes, obviously I use everything I can in Runelite for any advantage that I can get now, because I don't see why not. It's there for me to use. But I still think that, if ModMat K never got rid of AHK, we'd all be enjoying our skilling way more.
Probably.
And maybe the noobs would finally figure out how to use AHK and stop complaining about other people using it.
All right. November 16th, 2017. Buy 50 interface improvements for shops. Again, interesting wording.
I'll give this an E.
Say E or B?
E.
Okay.
The reason I'm not giving it an F is I just like the idea of being able to get a full inventory of things. However, I really wish that they would have put a limitation on this, that stackable items, or like, I don't know if you can buy anything that's already noted, but if that is a case, like, just don't have those as buy 50s, because I feel that those are a little too strong for the buy 50. But if you just wanted to like get a full inventory of, like, I don't know, fish or something from a shop, I don't see why you shouldn't be able to do that. But the buy 50 scenario for things like arrows and runes, it's just too quick, and it evolves into shopscape for Ironman.
Yeah, this one's like a D for me. It's like just pure easyscape, but it's not really a game breaker. It's just like a little bit of power creep.
I think I'll put it in an E category. I think this is just an Iron Man update, essentially. They are the majority users of shops, which is, again, an unfortunate situation. I think Iron Man should just have to actually gather things and not have to just sit at a shop for hours to buy things that they need. Yeah, I don't like Iron Man catered updates that are just making Iron Man easier for no reason. I get it, it's not like a huge thing. It's like, buy 50 instead of 10. But I just don't like the context to it, I guess.
Yeah. Great segue into the next thing that we're going to talk about as well.
Oh god.